AJ in Dubai, making moves Broadway. Real estate king, stack bricks all day. Bought a crib so tall, can't see the ground. Cash flow endless, funds never
Dr.
drown.
Anand, welcome back to the show.
And thank you for having me back again.
It's always a pleasure. Tell us, in February we started seeing the rents falling. Is this because of due of handovers or just because landlords are being more reasonable now with the tenants? What's going on exactly?
Okay, the projected number of handovers that we should have had last year didn't happen. We had only about 27,000 units. So we were short because we have to remember 169,000 new residents also came into the city. So there's no way we would have enough units based on the handovers. I think what really affected that, where the rents were starting to stabilize in some areas, is the smart index, the new government system for how rents are being calculated based on the quality of the buildings, the age, and the facilities. Because this was not there. So as a result, landlords could charge whatever they wanted, but now they cannot do it anymore. So what's happened is, if you look at the average across the city, many of the buildings had to start lowering on rents, and some of the others were able to scale up on the rents as well. So that has to some extent influenced the rents, and it's a good thing in the market. So it forces landlords to either upgrade their properties or to make sure that their maintenance quality is good, so that the building will have the potential to generate higher rents. So they cannot be making money anymore without taking care of their units, whether it's a villa, mansion, or an entire building. So this has definitely brought some impact on the rent.
Okay, when it comes to sales, we've also seen a bit of fall, almost 8 to 10% per square feet in primary areas. What's the reason for that?
Okay, this is the January results that were published this year. In January this year, if you look at the primary market, you had 9,230 transactions, you had about 26.5 billion, and the average price per square foot was actually 1,600. Now, when you look at January of this year and compare it to the January of last year, the actual number of transactions increased by 28%.
Okay.
So the volume was there, but the increase in value was only 15.5%. So the value was still more than last year because of the increase in transactions, but the percentage had dropped. The average price per square foot showed a drop of 9%. Now, why did that happen? This 9% drop is based on the average price per square foot in January of last year. You're comparing January to January. And if you look at what has happened in Dubai last year, you've had more mid-range developers come into the market.
Correct.
Rather than the high end. The high end were few. So as a result, the volume of transactions went up. There was an increase in the value, but their selling points, the price per square foot, is lower. So it can give the perception to some people that the market is correcting. No, the market is not correcting. There is just a larger volume of developers coming in the affordable category. If you go to any of those affordable category developers, they're selling now higher than what they sold last year.
Correct.
So prices are appreciating across the board, but just the volume of the mid-range category sales was so high that compared to Jan of last year, you see a 9% drop. So there's absolutely no correction happening. But if people don't read it correct and then just see that there, they'll get into panic mode. So it's important we are saying this to help people understand that.
We've seen last week this big surprise of Elon Musk doing the loop in Dubai, and everyone is just posting it on their socials. Do you have more insights about it?
I do have some insights, but actually the first thing I wanted people to understand here is this is not a decision that you make overnight. It was always...
Yeah, it's not going to be on over a Zoom call and just announcing it.
Yeah, this is something that part of our agenda is going forward. This was part of the infrastructure development. It's not something new. If you look at Vegas has already got these tunnel systems with Elon Musk's company, and from 2021 till 2024, over 2 million people have traveled through 3 tunnel systems just in Vegas alone. And they're going to scale that up to 100,000 people every hour in Vegas, over 110 kilometer tunnels, having 104 stations. Dubai is going to do the same thing. So Dubai now, because we recognize that we are having this sheer numbers coming in, we're going to have 70% increase, is going for what we call a layered transportation system. So in a layered transportation system, you are creating additional levels. So for example, we already have the road with our RTA and the buses and the taxis. We now have got the metro systems. We are now going to have the flying taxis come in. We have the rail bus systems coming in. And now we're going underground, which is not being used at all. So we're creating a whole parallel network so that a lot of people now can use those. They can use the above the ground systems, so we can ease on the traffic a little bit. And that is the reason why the loop was introduced. It is starting up as a pilot project where we're going to only have 17 kilometers with 11 stations. Those pods are able to drive at anywhere between 100 to 160 kilometers
per hour.
speed. So, but we are looking at right now having about 20,000 people per hour using those only in that area. But if you do the calculation, the mental math, 20,000 people an hour is almost in 10 hours in a day, 200,000 people will be using that one system in just that particular area. So once it starts to spread out right across the city, I think a significant number of people will be using those systems. Las Vegas, it's become a major source of transportation right now for them. So it is coming. The company was set up in 2017, and it's a very cost-effective way of setting it up. And there are a lot of benefits of having tunnel systems. I think the first thing is when it is not affected by elements of weather. So when rains happen and they clog the roads a bit more, or there's a dust storm in the air and traffic gets slowing down, you won't have any of that in the tunnels. The second advantage is when construction is happening on these tunnels, there's nothing seen on the
Cannot
top.
affect anything,
It doesn't
yeah.
affect anything because it's happening below you. The third advantage is these are all powered through solar and eco-friendly systems, so it's very cost effective. No traffic jams down there as well. So there's a lot of benefits of having these come into the system. So we just will have to be patient. It's only been announced, but if anybody wants to understand these systems, they just have to go to the Boring Company website, and there are so many videos and all they have the LVCC loop, they have the R&D tunnel, they have the Vegas loop, they have the Dubai loop, and all the details are there on the website. So I think it's something brilliant, and it's going to really help us take the pressure off the streets.
Yeah, I mean, like moving 200,000 people per day, it's like we're talking.
That's in only 10
almost-
hours.
Yeah, we're talking almost 10% of the population.
Yeah,
you
so,
know? A bit less, but still.
Yeah, but
like,
still,
it's
it
a
will
big
be,
movement.
it will be more than 10 hours. And
Yeah.
once we go to 100,000 people, an hour, 100,000 people, there'll be probably 1.5 million people during the day will be using this. So these are all part of the overall strategies going forward. It was kept to be announced, I guess, at the World Government Summit. So that's where they wanted to have some big hitting announcements, and that's why it was made.
Sorry, I have to stop a second.
Business.
حبيبي أنا بالبودكاست خليني أخلص وبحكيك.
Don't tell me you haven't been
Fucking
into one of
200
these
text,
ones.
man.
With you guys, that's the first time. I only watch on YouTube. That's the first time live.
Behind the scenes.
So it's not one take. You have to stop.
Sorry, doctor.
No worries.
All right, back at it. Doctor, we've seen articles about the increase in the corporate tax. First of all, we were too scared. It's hitting us, but no, apparently it's hitting companies that are achieving over $200 million per year, 700 million
No,
dirhams.
no, much bigger than that. 3
Okay.
billion a year. 3 billion is 750 million euros
750
million
million
euros
euros a year.
a year
It's
for
jumping
at least
from 9% to
15%.
15%.
Yeah, but it's most of the companies will not be impacted by it. This is what we call the DMTT. The DMTT is the domestic minimum top-up tax.
Okay.
So the reason it's called domestic minimum top-up is when you have a taxation policy which is allowing you to pay minimum compared to the countries you come from, this is making a lot of companies actually come in here purely for the tax benefit. But then there is an imbalance on the whole global tax system is being affected by this. And we are aligning to be in agreement with the global tax system. So this only applies to the MNCs, the multinational corporations. And the condition is that they should have had revenues of 3 billion for at least 2 years in the past 4 years from the tax period. So if you are crossing that 3 billion every year or say 2 years, if you cross it only 1 year in the 4-year timeline, it doesn't apply. It applies if you do it for 2 years out of 4 years. In which case, what will happen is they will calculate worldwide your revenues, because now you're getting revenue in so many other places and you will pay tax based on that. So you cannot avoid that. So as a result, they will check the difference and you'll just pay the 15. But that's only going to be someone like an Emirates Airlines, an Emaar, or those Majid Al Futtaims. It's those large multinationals or large local corporations that will be affected by it.
It's not coming to medium to,
No.
to big businesses anytime soon, yeah?
I think if you were earning 3 billion a year, in 2 years out of every 4 years, you wouldn't really be hurting so much about it.
No, of course.
So this is not affecting any of them. And this is being done to align with the global standard, and there is a reason for it. The reason is the large, really big companies do not want to still come in here, because when you find that your system is not aligned on a corporate or a global level, they still are a bit hesitant to come. So many of the companies who come here are looking for tax evasion. So this now makes these companies have to declare their results globally, which will improve. So what's going to happen if I'm purely coming here for tax evasion? I'm going to look for another city. So in a way, we are able to filter out those type of companies, create more revenue for the government, make sure tax evasion doesn't happen, align with the global system on this. When therefore, the bigger corporations will be more comfortable to come in, because they understand the mentality of how those companies do business, and they want to be contributors to the economy. These companies who want to evade the tax definitely have no intention. I'm only coming here because it's a 9%. I don't have any interest to contribute to this economy. Now, why now? Because today brand Dubai is at a position where we can attract the best in the world, because we have everything in our infrastructure to make them come here today. So we don't have to rely on these type of companies. We can open it, and suddenly companies that want to be part of our ecosystem now are making their moves. They're all coming in here. So again, it's a positive thing that's happened. People who are concerned that taxes are coming in, we have been very clear to them. The days when there were no taxes are gone. That was a different Dubai that did not have that brand pull. We were not the number one city in the region. We were definitely not among the top 10 cities in the world, which we now are, according to the GPCI, the Global Power City Index. So we pull people now on different criteria, not on taxes.
Doctor, we've seen lots of pressure coming from the United States, from Europe, especially from the UK, because those guys are losing most of their millionaires to Dubai.
Yeah.
I've seen the article. They're saying like 145,000 are moving between Dubai and Singapore. Let's be real. If Singapore takes 20% of those, they will be extremely happy. Singapore basically is like the boring version of Dubai. Let's be very real, right?
Maybe not the boring, but the older, much older version.
Okay.
60 years old.
So when you see all of this happening, as like people starting to speculate, are we gonna be pressured by the States and by most of the European countries, because in here there is no income tax and they wanna make it in a form that there will be an income tax? Do you have any information about this?
I honestly don't have.
It's all opinions. End of the day.
I know. It's only speculation right now. I can only tell you one thing. Dubai was a city that got built under pressure. Mm-hmm. If you go back 20
years. It's like diamonds.
It's like go back 20 to 25 years. When Sheikh Mohammed decided to open up the city and he began to bring in a lot of internationally accepted cultural and social practices, there were lots of cities in this region that were not happy about it. So, for example, when we were able to bring alcohol into our systems, when we were able to start bringing clubs into it, allow certain kind of dressing on the beaches and things like that, there was a lot of pressure from a lot of cities within this region itself. But you have to understand, if you have to become a global city, you have to be seen that as you are one, that you can attract those kind of people. There is no way a European, an American, an Australian, a Japanese guy is going to come here if he's not going to have the same access to comforts that he gets in his own cities.
And even better.
Or even better. So again, when we are going to a level where we want to become the best city in the world. We're now already in soft influence. We are number 8 on the planet. So all these moves that did not necessarily get the approval of neighbors took us to where we are. And now, if you look at what's happening, many of those cities that were pressurizing us are starting to open up. They are following the same model today. So someone has to come up first and be bold enough and visionary enough to do it. These people will always take the beating, but the vision is stronger than the beating that they will take. And that is what has happened here. So yes, there can be some pressure going forward in many ways, but I think today we have reached a place where when we are doubling our foreign direct investments, there's a lot of vested interest from many governments to be here. When the multinational corporations that is giving huge revenues in their countries are now having regional head offices here, they have to think carefully before they do things. When you have the US going through a whole new wave of business because of Trump coming back in, when an Elon Musk comes in here, for sure that is something good for us. It's in our favor until he falls out of favor with Trump.
Yeah.
We don't know when that
We
will
hope
happen.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't. But again, any city that is emerging will always feel the pressure. We saw it last year when we had the floods in Dubai. We saw how Europe was bashing Dubai. Why would you bash a city for a flood? Because the flood was another reason for them to talk about it, but it is underlying issues that made people say these
You've
things.
seen those stupid articles 2 weeks ago by saying that Dubai it's its own enemy, and because of its great touristic attractions, now people cannot move in the city because of the traffic. Like,
Okay, let's actually talk about that. Yes, it's a phenomenal tourist attraction. But, okay, you're talking about city. Go to London and look at the traffic there. There is no touristic attraction greatly done by London. Go to Paris, go to New York, go to Toronto, go to Mumbai, go to Beijing, go to Singapore. There's traffic. There's traffic everywhere. But what you have to understand is the traffic that is coming in is of two kinds here. Yes, a lot of tourists are coming in, so obviously they're renting vehicles and all of the vehicles by tourism companies are there. But people are relocating. Now, when people are we had 169,000 new people who came last year. So the percentage of new registrations for cars in Dubai last year increased by 10%. The average value or average percentage of new registrations worldwide is 2%. Now, I don't believe a tourist coming here is going to register a vehicle.
correct.
So these are permanent residents who are coming in here and they are registering the vehicles. Yes, maybe a tourism company might buy additional vehicles and they would register, that would be counted. Yeah, but we are growing at 5 times the rate of the world average in terms of registrations. That's because of the people coming. Now, what's the challenge in this? People can make a decision to move to Dubai within a week. Some of them might take a month, some might even take 6 months to decide and come with their family. Or one comes in and the family comes later. But to build the infrastructure that you need takes much longer than that. You cannot just build a road and a flyover. So we are also aware of this. Our plans are aggressive, but the way the world responded to the plans has even surprised us. So everything now is on a fast track. Drive through the city, look at the amount of construction. Literally every 5 to 6 weeks, a new flyover or a new road is being opened. Sheikh Mohammed has got the internal roads plan from 2024 to 2027. 634 kilometers of internal roads are being created. 634 kilometers in 5 years. And then there is the 16 billion plan for the main roads, because we are now, and those will be ready by 2027 as well. But we are expecting 6 million people in our city by when? 2033. But we have responded and started to build these roads so that by 2027, we will have infrastructure on roads to handle 6 million people a day.
Speaking of this big volume of people, let's speak about the volume of private jets in Al Maktoum in the year of 2024. I think it was the highest by far.
21,700 plus.
By far, ever.
By far.
Okay,
It was a
what's the
record.
reason for that?
Again, it's very simple. Look at the profile of people who use these private jets. They're government delegations, or they are the millionaires and the billionaires of the world. So if you had to see this kind of movement in London, or if you had to see it in New York, it is accepted because they have this large number of millionaires there. Now we are catching up with all of them, because when you have all these millionaire migrations who are coming into the city with our families, there are many of them who are bringing in these kind of jets. There's also these large multinational corporations that are coming in, foreign direct investments, greenfield companies are coming.
Yeah.
They're top level executives, they have private jets for them. We are also seeing very senior level executive tourism where people are coming in to look at future business opportunity. I was talking to someone in Expo City, and they were saying in the last few months they've had senators from the US come in. So a lot of these people, when they're coming in for security reasons, travel on these. So we are an economy that is scaling upwards in terms of luxury and quality of life. When luxury and quality of life is going up and the millionaires are coming in here, you will see a lot of luxury. Now we are going to be giving golden visas for people who are buying luxury yachts.
Yeah, for the boats.
Okay, for the boats, because we are recognizing the amount that they are investing into our economies.
It's
Because
way higher than the properties.
because let's just think about it logically. If someone is going to buy a boat of that kind of money, he probably already has that kind of property here or that
Definitely.
kind of
To
a
match.
business to get it.
The boat will be matching the mansion.
Absolutely. So, but we are giving it on so many different ways to people. And that's why when the number of luxury jet landings and takeoffs goes up, it's an indication that a different caliber of people are starting to come in. There is a delegation coming from Vietnam, top tier people coming in next week. They're coming in. Why? Because we have opened 3 new business corridors, part of the Dubai economic agenda. And one of them is to the ASEAN countries, Southeast Asia. And they're all, the Chinese are coming in, the Singaporeans are coming in, the Vietnamese are coming in. They're opening up DIFC kind of concepts, financial centers in their cities now.
Just thinking about it, if 21,000 without having any operating casinos, just imagine when
What
they
will
all
happen
open,
with
what's
the
gonna
casino?
happen? That's crazy. That's nuts.
But again, we embrace that because we are going to, I think that's the reason why most of the developed cities, or rather advanced cities in the world, have an issue. Because the timeline within which we are doing it has taken everybody by surprise.
So, doctor, we have seen new regulations shift in the real estate. Tell us more about it.
Okay, I think the first thing now is how projects now are being approved,
Yeah.
even by the land department, because we want to be sure. You see, when you have an expanding market and everyone is coming in, you'll also get certain developers who are not very, let's say they're here because
Up to the standard.
Yeah, they want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
They just don't want to be contributors to brand Dubai and actually elevating the city to the next level. So I think there's a lot of registration and rules that are coming in to make sure not anyone can come in. Even if you do come in, you can only come to certain areas within Dubai, which would not be the high profile areas or are not part of the urban master plans to build those areas into the economic corridors for us. So they would be going into certain other places. Why are we getting more and more transparent now? We have the regulations on the rental indexes because we have to still manage to make sure people are paying realistic rents based on the quality of the lifestyle. If you don't want to pay the rent but enjoy the best quality lifestyle, that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of these things coming. You'll now see apps that AI and the government is working on where people can sit in their own living rooms, and if the units are less than 1.5 million dirhams, they can do the booking and complete the whole process online. So we are making the process more and more streamlined and easier for people to come into the city. So I think going back, especially with AI coming. Today I was at the Gulf Business event in the morning, and there was a company called Coralytics that was there. And they were talking about how much of AI is now coming in from the government side and what they are doing to help with the staging, with data, reports. There's just so much happening right now. So I think it's all for the good. It's going to take us to that next level. So people will have to shape up or they're going to have to ship out. That's going to happen. I think it's good for our city.
Supply and demand.
Yes.
The main topic that I've been
We
hearing
don't have
about
supply
for 10
and
years.
we have demand.
Okay.
We've been hearing it always.
It's been 10 years. I'm super sick of it. Can you just lay it out, please?
Okay, right. We are expecting, there's 306,000 units that are currently under construction, which are anticipated to be handed over in the next 4 to 6 years' time. Of these 306,000 units that we have, 70% plus are only in less than 20% construction stage.
So this is what I want to say. Never in the 10 years that I lived in Dubai, there was never a year where I've seen handovers reaching 30,000. Forget about 45 and reaching maximum. It was 27,000. Maybe that was the year of 16 or 17.
We had 27,000 last year also, but then you have
That's
to
it.
understand the sheer volume of launches that happened in the last
Yeah.
4 years. So we are having that, but the handovers are not enough. 169,000 new people came in last year, let's say 170. With the average family size of 5, we need 55,000 homes just for them. Just for the new people who came in, we handed over only 27,000 homes. What about the people in Dubai who are elevating their lifestyles? They made money in the last few years. Some of them are buying their first homes. Some of them are scaling up to bigger homes. We don't have enough for them. The holiday home companies are coming in like crazy and taking over. They're talking to landlords 6 months before handovers. And are trying to get the units. So those units will exit the market in terms of they will not be available for long-term leases. So what do I do now? So there's a shortage of that for my existing people in the city, and there is a shortage for those who are coming in, which is why you are seeing while construction is in an overdrive, launches are also in overdrive, because we can see that we are going to be extremely short in the future. So otherwise people will be sleeping on the streets in 2029.
God forbid. We will help them in the holiday homes. Don't worry. No one will sleep in the streets in Dubai.
Yeah.
Doctor, this was a DM I got from one guy, and he told me that doctor always says that Dubai is an engineered city. What does he mean by it?
Okay. Actually, if you look at Sheikh Mohammed's quote, he said exactly the same thing. He said the future belongs to those who can imagine it,
Believe and achieve.
who can design it, and who can execute it. That's engineering. You visualize something, you design it, and you execute it. That is engineering. Now, what it actually means is, as a city, this is not chaotic construction. This is engineered evolution that we are into. This is based on the plans. I'll rattle off the plans now. We'll not go into them. There is the Dubai Economic Agenda 2033. There is the Dubai Social
Vision
Agenda
2040.
2033. There is the Dubai Education Agenda 2033. There is the Quality of Life Strategy 2033. There is the Real Estate Strategy 2033. There is the Dubai Urban Master Plan 2040. There is the National Investment Agenda 2031. We have so many plans. There is the Centennial Plan 2071. 45 years into the future, we have a plan. So our city is being built towards that plan. That's what you call engineering. Most of the other cities are what we call organic cities. So they grow based on geopolitical influences, some strong natural reserve in that area. So they are affected when something happens within their regions. We too will be affected, but not as much. Oil is an example, right? If oil, which is a resource, at least in this part of the world, if oil is going to be affected, we are affected mainly from a consumer nation perspective, but we are not affected from a GDP perspective because we have a 2% oil contribution. UAE has still about 25%, but we have only 2%. But if you look at Kuwait, they're done. Look at Saudi Arabia, they're on one knee. So many of those countries.
Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Kuwait has the biggest reserve, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest reserve
Yeah.
in this. Or at least, even if it's not the biggest oil reserve, their economy is not designed to attract anything
Correct,
else.
correct,
So they're
correct.
making it from there. So they are affected. That's why they are organic cities. We are not an organic city. So any of the other parts of the world also, you look, the cities are growing organically, which means there's a marginal growth and you are reactive to what is happening. We are engineering our growth. We are going into the... Why are we building an airport for 260 million passengers, which will be ready after 2030? Because we know based on our plans now, the number of people who are coming in the future, we need that kind of airport. This is the engineering. This is why we are building all these roads. This is why we are beefing up security. A 272 billion budget for the next 3 years has been put into place. 46% of this year's budget is infrastructure. Just drive past Dubai South or Expo City. You will see flyovers going in every direction now. That is because you have the biggest airport in the world coming up. You have 168 square kilometers of industrial zone that is
It's gonna
being
be
kept there.
into 4 phases. I was reading
Which
about
are the
it.
industrial-
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
it is.
the airport.
Yeah.
So this make me think, doctor, like if we kind of zoom out a bit, if someone made 100% on his property, And if you want to think about it and zoom out a bit, and later on we're having this capacity coming, it's very easy to achieve 300-400% on
Absolutely.
the property if someone will hold to it.
If you will hold it. If they don't want to hold it, then yes, you can take your exit with your 80% in 4 years, or 100% you can exit. But people are making the money.
So when I'm talking to clients, it's like I'm talking to people who invested in 16, 17, 18. And it's easy now to say they made over 350% on their money. So they ask me, Anthony, shall I exit or shall I wait?
Okay.
And I'm like, it's all personal opinion. So now for me, I'm not exiting, because if I exit, where can I park the money? If I'm seeing the off-plan rates today, some of those are even higher than the ready. So if I sold this property, okay, I made 400%. Where shall I park the money?
Okay.
Advise me.
Okay. See, you can diversify. AI is the future. Education is the
Yeah.
future. So you can get into those. What we call health tourism is another big thing coming up in the future. Hospitality is a big thing. You don't have to only put your money in real estate. So there are multiple options that you can get into. Even if you have to be in real estate, you can still invest in off-plan. Yes, I get it that a ready unit today can be cheaper within the same community, because that was an older launch. Now, this unit, when it launches today, when this one completes, will be at a much, much higher rate compared to the older one for few reasons. One, that is an older unit or tower. It does not have 5 years ago when it was launched, or say 8 years ago someone bought it. It was not technologically savvy. It did not give the same quality of lifestyle amenities. There were many things that you will see in the new launches that were not there in the earlier ones. So whoever comes in now is going to come in and he's going to be making a appreciation going forward. You cannot be looking at what happened in the past and then saying, I will not be investing. Because if you look at the logic in the market, off-plan is still driving it.
Absolutely.
So those investors don't know what they're doing.
It's the payment plan.
Yeah,
It's
so
attracting everyone.
You can do so many things to make it easy for the person to come in, which is fine. But mainly it is the need that is driving. You can give me an attractive payment plan, but if the economic agenda of the city and the people coming in is not there, I don't want you on a payment
If you're
plan.
not guaranteeing your double up, why would you invest in off-plan?
Yeah.
There's no point. Also, we've seen this shift in the secondary market. Honestly, when I read the article, I thought that this will not impact, but apparently it's impacting. When the banks said that they will not be funding the 6% extra for the secondary
Correct,
market
yeah.
properties. Yeah, for me it was like, okay, come on, man. If someone cannot afford the 4% to register and to pay the agent 2%, why they're buying properties? But you're seeing it affected a bit. Nothing major,
Yeah.
like it didn't break the market, but
See,
just like
I don't think the affecting was that they cannot pay it. When something is taken away from you, you want to hold back.
Yeah.
You don't feel good about it at that moment. So a lot of people who had the capacity to even do that, their mind was just set on doing it with the mortgage. So when suddenly that was taken away, for many of them it is okay. I don't think this is a good moment for me to enter. So they just hold back on that. But others are going ahead. Eventually, what's going to happen? You hold back. That 6% you didn't want to put in. You change your mind and you come 6 months later, you pay 12% more.
this is what I'm saying. Like people should realize by now that opportunities do not come often. So if a bank or a developer or even a seller is offering you something, it's on the table. Take it, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and we have no idea what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. And you will recover your 6% in about 4 months. It's not a deal breaker. Because when they don't understand what is the average increase in appreciation, they don't get it. The average appreciation, now this is average, so it goes across the secondaries as well as the prime. For the last 50 months, we've been averaging a 1.3% every single month. Last year was 1.6% every month. So we had an average appreciation across the city of 16.5%. You're going to recover that money in 4 months' time. So without understanding these things, they just say, oh, now I have to pay 6% more. And that's the reason they're holding back. Eventually, when they find that prices are going up and they're losing, they will all come in, but they will come and pay more. Because by then prices have gone up. So the 6% that you will pay at that time is probably more like an 8 or 9%. And if you want to pay 9%, you wait, or you pay 6% now.
100%. Doctor, thanks a lot for this beautiful episode. We'll see you on the next one.
saying goodbye, making moves Broadway. Real estate king, stack bricks all day. Bought a crib so tall, can't see the ground. Cash flow endless, funds never drown.